Hi everybody. I wanted to give you a quick tour of the shop in its current state. Talk a little bit about my projects that I have on the slate for the first part of the year here. And I don't think that it's going to be this clean for a while once I get started doing some builds in earnest. You can see here my primary bench where I do most of my model work. Things have been reorganized so I can find things a little bit better. Up on top are the work in progress, different things that I'm working on. Back here in the corner is the reorganized stash, and some pretty big additions this year. Hopefully I'll get to them. This is kind of a staging table. Not exactly sure what its ultimate use is going to be, but for right now I'm doing some taping and doing some washing of parts, and this is where I transfer everything over after I do some paint work. This is where all the electronic stuff is. So up top here is different breadboards and things that I do work on, as well as my Dremel and the shop computer. I've got a use for this hopefully later this year. A couple doodads up there. The last known good version of Star Wars before it was turned into these. Back in the corner, which was a no man's land for a while this winter, has been reorganized and trying to stay away from the pack-ready type behavior that I used to have before we moved here. And so that cabinet in the back here is kind of a place to store raw materials as I find them, and see my foam in there. Also too, I didn't talk about this. This is a stand that I'm putting together for my cadet scale enterprises. I'll set this down for a second. And these guys just sit on the top. There's going to be a base on this. Nothing's set in stone, but I had fun making the foam part of this. So you can see here. Back up a little bit. So that's how they'll sit there, and all the enterprises have a spot along here. This has to be reattached on this side. Also, this is where I am storing my tools right now. Was looking to get a nice tool bench, but a little bit out of our price range this Christmas, so that's where all my tools hang out. And back over here, kind of a mess. But this is the paint booth that I put together. And this put this together in a couple days after 3 trips to Home Depot. Got two fans on the back here going to a manifold where they come together and go out. I've come up a few times after painting with some spray and said, "Did you smell that?" And nobody in the house could tell that I painted, so I guess I'm doing the right thing. Picked up this guy over at Harbor Freight. I have a larger oil-cooled and lubricated compressor, but I wanted something a little bit smaller to keep here for airbrushing, and I'll use my air tools with the new one. Last of my aquarium stuff, hopefully be getting rid of that soon so I can reclaim this space. This is a shelf to display some models. Hopefully I'll be adding more of those. You can see here I've got some of my my terrain that I put together over the years. It's been a while since I've done anything with those, but I'm expecting this year to be pretty productive. And on the bench right now is the Pegasus. She's been getting different treatments. Right now I've been doing the work for the fiber. And there's some other lighting things I'm going to be doing with this. My goal is to put, I've got some really tiny SMDs to go on either side of the Pegasus insignia on these bays. We'll see how that goes. I've been experimenting with my new toy that I got here, which is this Weller soldering iron. I've been very pleased with the performance of that. The other thing that is going to be nearing completion soon is this Jedi shuttle. Had a lot of paint issues with this. It's had a lot of sanding and repainting. But this is ready for some touch-up paint, final assembly, and decals. And I've had this fine molds for some time, and my first attempt at putting decals of that size on did not go well. So I do have some new green ones that are going to go on here. Unfortunately, they're not numbered. So I'm going to have to reference back this guy and hopefully figure out what goes where. I'm going to have to match up shapes and stuff. And then also down here, waiting, is my Republic Star Destroyer. This is going to be for the Iron Modeler Challenge on Sci-Fi Model Action. And also I've got this guy started. I may finish him up. Little Heinkel float plane. I'm looking forward to a productive year, and I think I'm going to do a quick enterprise build. No lighting, just stock. I want to put something up in my office, so that's going to be, once one of these other projects gives way, I expect it's going to be one of these two, the stand or the shuttlecraft, before that happens. I think I'm going to be putting out a timeline on when I'm anticipating getting things done, so I can start planning my projects. There's a couple of forums that I've been watching, and there's going to be some additional builds that I want to add that are non-sci-fi related. So I hope you enjoyed it. This is a nice workspace to have. I've never had this much space before, so pretty pleased. One of my big goals for this year is an electronics project I want to take on, and that's going to be building a CNC router, most likely. I also have the parts mostly to do a laser cutter. I use cutter loosely. It's really only going to be able to cut through cardstock and maybe etch some acrylic. But that's one of my big goals this year. In addition to any model building that I'm going to do, is putting something like that together. It's going to help out my father-in-law on a project that he's working on. So I'll be doing a lot of different Instructables and gathering the raw materials to put that together. I hope to get that well on its way this winter, in addition to my other model stuff. We'll catch you next time.